Hey guys, welcome back to The Binger. Before I go any further, this video contains serious Avengers Endgame spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's time to run away now. Alright, and now it's safe. Let's get started. With half of all life in the universe restored and Thanos finally out of the picture, it's time to look forward to the next phase of the MCU. If Phase 4 is anything like Phase 3, then we're in for an incredible ride. While we've got some info about what's to come, there's still a lot that we're not sure of. With 3 of the main Avengers gone for good, there's some job openings. Let's take a look at who could be rising up to become the new Avengers. Falcon had a relatively minor role to play since being introduced in Captain America: Winter Soldier. He's been quite close with Cap ever since, helping him bring down Hydra and choosing to be on call for future events. While he's had his moments, he has yet to get the same level of recognition as Captain America or Iron Man. It looks like that's all about to change though. At the end of Endgame, Cap goes back in time to return the Infinity Stones after the time heist that undoes the snap. Instead of coming back to the present day like he's supposed to, Steve goes back in time and lives his life out with Peggy. He returns to the present day as an old man, finally happy after years of soul searching. In a moment of true significance, he hands over the shield to Sam, Falcon. Sam is honored by the gesture. Not only is it a sweet scene that brings Cap's character to a conclusion, but it holds a lot of promise for the future. Will Falcon become the next Captain America? It looks like it, or at least a version of Cap. It's not unusual for mantles to be passed down in comics. There are often several different people that carry the same superhero name at different times. It's clear that Falcon will have a far more significant part to play in Phase 4 than he has done up until this point. As the first on-screen Black Captain America, this is going to mean huge things for the MCU. In Avengers 3, Tony famously made Peter Parker an Avenger after Peter snuck his way onto the mission. Now that Tony has taken a bow, Cap's out of the picture, and Black Widow has kissed the pavement, there are openings for a new head honcho. Spidey still has a lot to prove, so this gives him the perfect opportunity to do so. With the next Spider-Man movie fast approaching, we'll have a better idea of what part he will play in the next phase. For right now though, we can speculate given all the knowledge that Endgame has given us. Peter Parker adored Tony Stark. He respected him and even idolized him. There was a definite father-son vibe going on there, as demonstrated by how shattered Tony was when Parker bit the dust after the snap. When it was Tony's turn to say goodbye, Peter was equally crushed. Yeah, bet you can't relive that moment without crying, can ya? Don't worry though, you're not alone. Millions of fans are right there with you, myself included. Considering he's still a teenager, Peter will grow a lot from the things he's seen. He turned to dust, for crying out loud. Then he watched Tony pass away. No one would stay the same after all that. It's just impossible. This emotion and experience could propel Spidey into being one of the greatest Avengers ever known. He's also young and fresh, and let's face it, one of the most iconic Marvel characters out there. It would be insane for Marvel Studios not to utilize Spider-Man's notoriety. One of the best parts of Endgame was when Scott Lang realized his daughter isn't a victim of the snap. Instead, she's grown up to be a teenager. Considering we don't see more of Cassie in the movie, it's interesting that she was mentioned at all. Is that Marvel setting the scene, reminding us that life went on for those not affected by Thanos' dirty deed? It could well be. In the comic books, Cassie makes an appearance in Young Avengers as Stature, with powers similar to her papa. She can shrink and grow whenever she wants to. Unlike Ant-Man though, she doesn't need the suit to work her mojo. Her powers are the result of stealing Pym particles from her daddy over the years. Many fans have speculated that the Young Avengers is the future of the MCU. It wouldn't be an unusual route for the franchise to go down, as it stays true to the comics. There are many stories that focus on the young upstarts helping the Avengers when needed, and many that center around conflict with the adult heroes. Nothing is set in stone, but it is a great opportunity that seems crazy to pass up. We'd put our money on Cassie coming into her own at some point in the future. James Rupert Rhodes, known affectionately as Rhodey, proved himself loyal to the cause time and time again. Starting out as a military man and business buddy of Tony Stark, the two forged a bond that could not be broken. When Tony had a bit of a wobble and started being a jerk, Rhodey took the Mark II armor for himself. Tony's enemy Justin Hammer helped fit it out with new weapons, and Rhodes became War Machine. He teamed up with Iron Man to bring down Ivan Vanko and ended up keeping the armor. Over the course of the franchise, Rhodey has had several clashes with the Avengers, usually down to moral differences. After sorting the issues out, he became a valued member of the team. In Endgame, he's seen fighting the good fight with the remainder of the Avengers. Now Iron Man is gone. It's easy to assume that War Machine will fade into the distance, but the opposite could be true. Essentially, the character is as close to Iron Man as it gets and could fill that metal void. Tony created the suit and eventually the braces for Rhodey's legs when he was paralyzed in battle. Now, of course, there's Pepper Potts and the rescue suit, but Gwyneth Paltrow has already confirmed she's not playing the character in the future. Rhodey hasn't had a chance to shine on his own merit yet, so Marvel could make use of him moving forward. The role is played perfectly by Don Cheadle, who took over for Terrence Howard after a pay dispute that forced him to quit. Marvel is trying to be more inclusive, so it's only natural that they're talking about their first Asian-led hero. Shang-Chi is an intriguing character in the comic books. First appearing in the early 70s to jump on board the martial arts trend, Shang-Chi is the son of evil mastermind Fu Manchu. His daddy tried to take over the world multiple times and trained his son to be a master in Kung Fu. Manipulated by his father multiple times, it doesn't take long for Shang-Chi to realize that his dad isn't the good guy that he says he is. At one point along his journey, he's recruited by Iron Man and Captain America to become an Avenger. Do you see where we're headed with this? Of course, if we were focusing purely on what happens in the comics, then this video would be hundreds of hours long. Tons of heroes join up with Captain America and the gang over the years. We're here to talk about what could realistically happen in the MCU. So let's get down to business. GameSpot reports that Marvel is moving forward with a standalone Shang-Chi movie. Dave Callahan of the Expendables fame is writing the script, while destined Daniel Cretton is supposedly directing. Although a lot of the information around the project is subject to change, it certainly looks like it's going to happen. Despite his training, Shang-Chi is a mortal man with no otherworldly abilities. Much like Black Widow, he's just incredibly good at what he does. Now that Natasha's passed, maybe Shang-Chi can fill in where she left off. This is possibly one of the most exciting pieces of news in Phase 4 of the MCU. From what we know so far, there are going to be a few new movies about the characters we already know and love. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are all getting new adventures. We're all excited for that. But Marvel needs to throw new characters in there to mix it up. The Eternals are a creation of Jack Kirby, one of Marvel's top dogs back in the day. Without Kirby, the landscape of comics would be completely different. The characters are celestial beings that have huge lifespans and awesome abilities to manipulate matter. Not only do they have super cool powers that will translate into an epic cinematic experience, but Angelina Jolie is rumored to be playing a role. There's a lot of buzz and speculation surrounding the Eternals. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige confirmed that they are having creative discussions about the project back in the middle of 2018. A few months later, Chinese director Chloe Zhao was reportedly on board. It was suggested by The Wrap that the movie focuses on a female character called Circe. Could that be Angelina Jolie? The comic book character does sort of look like her, so it wouldn't be a giant leap. Could Circe be a new Avenger? Everything always seems to loop back to the Band of Heroes. With an estimated release date of late 2020, we'll just have to wait and find out. Out of all the remaining Avengers, Doctor Strange is possibly the one with the most potential. Now, we're not dissing any of the other characters, of course, but the Sorcerer Supreme just has something about him, you know? Maybe it's down to the cool orange glowy lights, but he could open a lot of doors for the MCU, and we're not solely talking about portals here. Strange had a bigger part to play in Avengers 3 and Endgame than most people realized. When fans watched him hand over the Time Stone to Thanos in exchange for Tony's life, we didn't really understand why he did it. I mean, after all, wouldn't he have had to have known that things were going to go to pot after he gave it up? Of course he did. That was the point. In Endgame, Strange is the one that gives Tony the nod to grab the gauntlet back, holding up a single finger. This is a reference to the line in Avengers 3 where he tells Tony that he saw millions of possible outcomes and only one in which they won. Now it's clear that everything he did was to get to that one point. He saved Tony's life That way Tony could sacrifice it. That's just one feather in the cap of Doctor Strange. During Endgame, the Ancient One has a cameo where she reiterates the importance of Strange, calling him the best of us. Although it's understated throughout the movie, there are clear signs that the Doc is in for some big changes in the future. With Captain America officially standing down, there's an opening for lead Avenger. Could Strange take the title, or will he have something else up his sleeve entirely? No matter what, he's due for a big promotion in the ranks. In the comics, Kate Bishop is a young woman that Hawkeye trains to take over his mantle. Disney Plus have recently confirmed a Hawkeye series in which he helps a series of young heroes reach their full potential. Kate is one of them. Fairly new in terms of Marvel characters, Bishop was only introduced in the mid-90s. She's described as blunt, independent, and tough-minded, which is exactly the kind of female heroes the MCU craves. There are rumors that 13 Reasons Why star Catherine Langford is set to play the arrow-wielding hero, but those are yet unconfirmed. Other people think that Kate Bishop won't be the next Hawkeye at all. At the beginning of Endgame, Clint Barton is teaching his daughter how to shoot an arrow before the snap. When she hits the target, he affectionately says something along the lines of, "Good job, Hawkeye." The fact that he called her that has not slipped by unnoticed. After all, why would that be included if it didn't mean anything for the future? After the snap decimates his entire family, Barton goes rogue and starts slaying criminals on a vigilante quest. Fans of the original artwork will know that Barton eventually assumes a much darker identity, Ronin. Regardless of if Bishop does appear, or if Barton's daughter blossoms into a young hero, there's definitely something going on here. Who would you put your money on? And there you have it. Do you think any of these are a sure bet, or is there someone else you got your eye on, Agent? Sound off in the comments down below. Before you go, be sure to show us some love by giving this video a nice big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss a thing from us here at The Binger. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.